Welcome back to Sisterhood. This is the show that's all about multicultural women who are bold, beautiful and in business. If you've just joined us, where have you been? This week I've met up with Liz Smith, who is the director of Film 38. They're responsible for some of the biggest commercials in today's UK market, including Mazda. So let's have a look at what Liz had to say when I caught up with her earlier in the week. So hi Liz, thank you for joining me. So Liz, tell me a little bit about your title, a little bit about Film 38.
Okay, well I founded Film 38, so I'm effectively the managing director of the company. And we are a film production company, and we sort of specialise in doing commercial work for kind of brands and products in new media, digital platforms. That's the sort of main core focus, and we also do music videos and independent films as well.
And so how did you start it?
Came out of I've always loved film. I've always loved photography and visual imagery, and that's my thing, my personal like. And I've also always been interested in business and liked doing business. And I was working in a sort of business development role at Yahoo for about 4 years. And eventually I said, right, I'm leaving and I'm going to go to film school. And I went to film school, and then I trained as a cinematographer, as a director of photography, because I loved, as soon as I got to film school, I realised I wanted to be behind the camera and not in front of it. Or
as I've dragged you out today.
Exactly. It's your fault you put me in front of the camera. This is I feel very unnatural for me. I'm much happier being behind it. But I love sort of, making that perfect shot and lighting things beautifully and just visually strong images always appealed to me, and so going to film school was fulfilling that dream. And then when I came out of film school, I thought, right, I've found the industry I want to be in. How can I make it work for me? Because it's really tough when you come out of film school to be a cinematographer, a freelance cinematographer from scratch anyway. It's doubly tough if you're a woman, because it's a very male-oriented job, that. So I'm like, okay, I found the right thing, business for me, but I need to build some infrastructure to make it work.
Sure.
And then this great idea of let's have a production company, and I can be in the industry doing what I like, and that's how Film 38 kind of came about.
Fantastic. Great. So you previously lived in New York. What was that experience like?
There's always some kind of catalyst when people do career changes. You need to have some reason that takes you out and says, right, I'm going to do it now. And my catalyst was actually 9/11, because I was working in New York, living in downtown New York at that point. And I'd been beginning to think, okay, the work I'm doing is not fulfilling me to the extent I want it to. And so I was beginning to think maybe I should be looking elsewhere. And then when 9/11 happened, obviously I think it affected a lot of people, even if you weren't there. It affected a lot of people. And I said, right, okay, I'm going to go. First of all, I thought we were going to World War III. So I thought I'd rather be back home in Europe with my family and my boyfriend, and because they were all still here. And so I went back to the UK, and I had an opportunity to continue to work for my company there. But they had to put me on leave for about 6 weeks, because they couldn't hire me back into the new role for about 6 weeks.
Right.
And just having that 6-week period where I had no responsibility, and I was away from work, I was away from my old environment, where I could really think, what do I want to do, was absolutely critical. And I think without it, I may never have actually made the leap. And
it's interesting you should say that, because I think that, before we started the interview, you and I were talking a little bit about crazy lifestyles and work. And it's only when you get that space, that's when you make real decisions, because your mind's clear. So is that what happened for you?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I'm curious, as a woman in business, what's been some of the challenges? And Liz, how have you overcome those challenges?
On a shoot, it depends what I'm doing. With Mazda, I was really quite lucky. They needed a second unit, director of photography. And while I would never put myself up to be the main director of photography on that, because I think you need to have a lot of experience with shooting cars, I didn't have a lot of experience with it. So I am going a second unit. I didn't have the huge responsibility, but it still was a great opportunity for me to go out and actually start to learn how to shoot cars. Because I hadn't done that at film school, I hadn't done that previously, but with the support of the main director of photography behind me. So for me on that shoot, it was great fun. I mean, you get up very early and you sort of have your breakfast, your bacon sandwich, and off you go. And you really have to think about composing the shots and working with the director to get them right, as well as some of the technical, practical side of being camera. And then you shoot from the second the sun comes up to the moment the sun goes down, and then you get back to base and you collapse in bed fast asleep.
Absolutely, in preparation for the next day.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, I want our audience to have a quick look at the Mazda shoot. Do you want to introduce it?
Okay, This is the new Mazda 6, which is just launched, and this is on their website.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, I mean, that was exciting. I really like that. So tell me a little bit about some of the other clients that you worked with, because I mean, Mazda's a huge name, but you also do independent films as well. So tell me a little about some of the other clients.
Absolutely. The independent film front, we actually shot, we've shot several independent films, short films ourselves, which we've funded ourselves. Oh, yeah. And which is always a challenge.
Yes.
But the reason we've done that is we want to ultimately be making feature films at some point down the line, and we are developing some in the background. And short films are a really good calling card to actually say, look, we can do
this. Absolutely. So let's talk about the business side of it, because you're funding it yourself. How are you overcoming some of the challenges that comes with having to do that?
The funding side is probably one of the biggest challenges. I've obviously put a lot of my own money into it, and that makes life a lot easier in that I'm the only person, the only decision maker at the end of the day. So I've been able to say, right, we're going to go this strategy, we're going to do that, or we won't do that. And I'm only responsible to myself from that point of view. So in some ways it's made it easier starting off by financing it myself rather than having another outside party. And it's kept us very independent as a company, and I've really been able to mould the spirit of the company and where we're trying to go and what we're trying to achieve and the whole feeling in the business.
I want to talk a little bit about your American experience. Like you, I was in America on 9/11. Very profound experience. But tell me about the time leading up to 9/11, which was obviously your catalyst to come back home. How did you get out there? How long was you there? And what was you doing?
Okay, well, I was working for Yahoo in the UK for 2 years, and then this job came up, an internal transfer to New York to work on international business development for them. And it was a really fun role, really exciting role for me. It was the first time I'd lived in the US. I'd been to New York like once in my life before for a sort of long weekend, and I turned up for this interview in this place. I didn't know anybody, and I've always loved traveling. I've always been a bit of an adventurer, and for me this was an adventure and an opportunity. And then I got the job. I'm very excited, and literally 6 weeks later I was there. And I'm like, wow, okay, I'm here, and where do we take it from here? And when I walked into that office, it was quite an experience, very different way of doing business. And I don't know about you, but I was really surprised because I thought, oh, I speak the same language, you know, not a dissimilar culture, but business-wise, culturally hugely different.
Absolutely agree with you. How did you overcome that? Because I know when I first went, I just spent the whole week, at least the first couple of weeks, just trying to find my feet. It was just bizarre.
Yeah, I kind of almost just kind of went with the flow, and I became this strange English person in the office, you know, and everybody used to sort of laugh at me a bit, oh, that's the English person, and when I'd go out on sort of sales presentations, the client would sit actually enraptured with what I was saying.
Because you're English.
And at the end, I love the way you say that word, could you say that again? And you start kind of using that in a way, even if it's subconsciously, your Englishness becomes part of you and defines you, and I just played that, but I had an amazing experience out there, but I always felt an outsider. I always felt like I was looking in on it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be nosy. Are you single?
No.
You're not? Okay. So what's the most romantic gesture that your partner's given you?
That's such a funny question because my partner is he's a software engineer, and software engineers aren't romantic. And I think we've been going out together for about 9 years now, and I think he's bought me flowers once in 9 years, and I did nearly fall over in shock when he did that. So that's probably it. But that's a bit lame, isn't it?
No, it's perfect. And then lastly but not least, Liz, what inspires you?
What inspires me? Oh, you've thrown me there. I think a lot of things. I get inspiration from all sorts of things. A lot of people around me. I meet one of the best things about setting up Film 38, as opposed to all the jobs I had before. I've met an enormously diverse group of people that I would never, ever have met. And I've got a lot of inspiration from some of these amazing people, whether they're writers, whether they're just normal people who may be young children even, who you're filming or a part of a shoot and you suddenly find out their stories, business people. So I think mainly people. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for taking some time out of your busy day. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
Oh, good. Thanks. Wow, that was fantastic. I don't know about you, but Liz gave some amazing advice. She's a phenomenal woman, great person to meet up with. Now remember, if you're trying to get into the film or TV industry and you'd like some work experience or some advice, you can contact Liz via the website. Go to www.sisterhoodtv.com. Did you have a pen? I'm going to repeat it again. www.sisterhoodtv.com.